I'll wait.
Sorry, I was stretching. I'm not stretching today.
You went, Hello, everybody. Before we get started in this episode, this is Elizabeth wanting to let you know that Mother Goose Lied is a podcast only for fun. We are not historians, and what we say is probably not accurate. We are bull honking our way through this. So please sit back, relax, enjoy the episode, and please don't present this for a history project. Goodbye.
I want to gag. I want to choke.
I want you to touch that little dangly thing that swings in the back of my throat. I used to be able to rap that whole thing.
Big back jerk.
Right, there's a little
Okay, friend.
That's Sarah.
That's Elizabeth.
And this is Mother Goose Lied.
And I'm going to adjust the camera, because... Okay. Yeah. We're a professional, classy act here at Mother Goose Lied. I insist on the clap. You can tell how much Elizabeth appreciates it. You're also very short. Lovingly. I need to adjust this. Why is it not adjusting well? Is it this back twisty knob? We're gonna do this again.
You're really short. Wait, no, I don't think it's the back twisty knob.
It's not the back twisty knob.
I think it's the side twisty knob.
Side twisty knob. That checks.
Think about your hinges.
Nope, that is not check.
Also, I think it's just difficult to move. Well, now it's at a funny angle. Now it's like tilted this way. So you're gonna have to... Moving the monitor isn't gonna help the fact that the camera... Let me do it. Dear God. All it took was you to just go...
Oh, okay. Well,
with the camera. That's it. That's all it was.
It's better. Okay.
Dear God. Scared the shit out of me.
That's Elizabeth.
That's Sarah.
And this is Mother Goose Lied.
Mother Goose Lied is a podcast where Sarah and Elizabeth take a chaotic deep dive into your favorite nursery rhymes, fairy tales, and stories, see where they went wrong, and build the best story. We love storytelling and want you to join us as we find out how Mother Goose lied.
She did what?
Dear God, you're such a millennial.
I can't get away from it, you guys.
Oh my God, you guys. Sorry.
Age will relentlessly come for you all.
I feel unsafe.
Yeah, that's welcome to humanity.
Threatened me and told me I'm short today. Like I'm not aware that I'm 4'11".
But it's cute as a button. Everybody loves short people. Y'all just carry a little bit extra anger in your tiny little bodies. Oh, speaking of, you and I have started our own personal Cozy Chronicles.
We have.
Do you want to tell our audience what that's about?
I've come to the realization that I'm a piece of work. And while... Sorry, my brain stuttered. And I've realized that I want to be more of the kind of person that's just like a cozy human being and less of a fire gremlin. I think I described it as I want to be, if the feeling of drinking hot cocoa while it's snowing were like a person, I want to be that. But right now I'm currently a shot of vodka in your coffee at 5 a.m. So we have both decided that we want to become more cozy. So we're doing what's called the Cozy Chronicles. Eventually. I don't know how that's going to work.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Update you maybe periodically.
Yeah.
About what it's like to try and be cozy.
It's already not going well on my end.
What I really liked was when she told me about this, was that she was saying she doesn't have cozy people in her life. Not that she doesn't love the friends and family that she has, but like no one has that kind of comforting, you know, that hot cocoa on a snowy day vibe. And she was like, but I want to be that for other people, which I thought was really commendable. It's like if you see something, a need that's not fulfilled, and you're like, I want to be that. And I think that was really commendable.
I came to the realization today that Ariana Grande is that vibe.
Today? I thought that was part of this.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, because I've already known that, like, Ariana Grande gives cozy vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I knew she was, like, cute as a button, little sweet. I just didn't realize that that's kind of what I was... So is this me proceeding to continue to try and copy Ariana Grande, or...
But it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. Because there's a girl on TikTok who, personally, I adore. I think she's a sweet pea and gets way too much hate, but her name's Paige Neiman. And she's known for literally looking like exactly like Ariana Grande. And here's the thing, like, without the makeup on, it's not as noticeable, and you can tell that she does her makeup and wears things to look like Ariana Grande. And she talks like her too, and you can tell it's intentional, but she gets so much hate for it. But she does do it intentionally to get mistaken as Ariana Grande, I've noticed. And I'm not trying to take over as Ariana Grande. I just am also very aware of the fact that her makeup style and her clothing and everything fits my body type because we have the same body type. And her songs and her music fit my voice type because we have the same voice type. So it's just kind of like it all kind of...
And she's a good celebrity to stan. Why not?
She is. She's a sweet pea.
Yeah.
I just want to... She looks like she gives really good hugs.
Mm.
I really want to hug her.
I think it's totally fine to appreciate and enjoy a celebrity or someone or some, I mean, people have interests, and everyone kind of pickpockets some of their personality from the things that they like.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
I was like...
It's not like all of us haven't at some point in our life been like, someone does something we like, and we're like, I'm going to do that now forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Yeah, no, we are all a culmination of the people that we look up to and spend time around.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing to pick a good person to emulate.
Yeah.
Well, in opposite...
Sorry, I'm...
No, you're fine.
Gassy.
Get it through. You got this.
It's stuck.
Oh, no. It's still going.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So in opposite of cozy vibes, we're going to be doing Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary.
Woohoo!
So, she's got fight me character. Which does it not line up with this podcast at this time? So I will go ahead and read it, and then Elizabeth's gonna do the spiel.
I am.
The info.
Woohoo!
The behind the scenes.
I'm excited.
I love it.
Yee.
Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? Silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row.
Mary, Mary, quite contrary.
And I'll...
What?
Pause. So I just finished reading, and I'm going to show off the picture.
Okay, go show off the picture.
Because it's a really pretty picture by Blanche Fisher Wright. Isn't that nice? Let me try this. Oh, gosh.
So, for our listening audience...
These are our ladies.
These are my ladies.
She's in the top too.
Oh, dear God. So, for our listening audience, Sarah just showed off the photo that is in the book that we read from by Blanche Fisher Wright. 11 out of 10 recommend. So, Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary has a lot of different versions up its sleeve. The most common one is the one that we just read, and this is like the most important one to how it pertains to our history. So if you want some of the other versions, you can go do that yourself. I'm not doing that.
Do it yourself.
I'm tired.
You heard it here today.
Yes. So, now we run into a bit of a question with Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, which is, who in the fuck is Mary?
Who? There's a lot of Marys.
Whomst?
Pick one.
It's a very common name. So if we look at the history, we actually find that there is no proof that this rhyme dates anywhere before the 18th century. So this points us to two very iconic English Marys. So as we know, a lot of Mother Goose rhymes are very English. So the probability of them being English Marys tracks. So we have two, either Mary Tudor or Bloody Mary, who predated Queen Elizabeth I, and Mary Stewart, Queen of Scots. So these two reigned in the 16th century, which could mean that this poem references one or both of these women. There are also historical interpretations that it's an allegory of Catholicism. Mary is obviously the mother of Jesus, and the bells are Sanctus bells. Sanctus bells are basically this little bell rung during the Eucharist, which I think is like communion. I'm not Catholic.
I think that tracks.
I'm not Catholic.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We hang out with Methodists.
I was baptized Catholic, but I was a baby. So
That's different.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure I was baptized Catholic. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to believe.
I mean, technically, when you're a baby, you don't know much anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. Cockle shells are the badges of the pilgrims' shrine to St. James in Spain. That doesn't make any sense to me.
St. James? There's probably a ton of Jameses in Spain.
I don't know what the badges of the pilgrims' shrine is. I don't get that.
I don't know.
I don't.
Are they like Pokemon badges, like gym badges? That would be the best. You have to fight someone in the name of Jesus.
Was I've never got into it.
That's fine. You just
I wanted to.
Barney.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. It wasn't. I didn't have cable growing up, so that I didn't have access to.
That was on Peasant TV.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wasn't on my TV. I don't know. I never ran into Pokemon.
Channel, but it was definitely Peasant TV.
Peasant TV.
That's what I had.
Nice. I did not have cable. I was watching Cubo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like Cuba was coming out when I was like in like high school and college. That was like when like that was a thing because the sub channels.
There it is. That got it. Okay. Anyway, the pretty maids are supposedly nuns, and it is sometimes considered either a lament for the reinstatement of Catholicism or a lament for the persecution of Catholics. In the end, I think that this is complete horseshit. So it seems like
history. Throw it away.
So it seems like an eclectic clusterfuck of
set it on fire.
It's just a mess of a theory and just doesn't make much sense as the others. So thank you. Next.
I like how this is not the first time we've presented like a whole history and been like, and it's garbage, like
trash.
Like my husband even commented on the Peter Pumpkin Eater because at the end of the episode I was like, and probably none of this is related, and he was like, you just undercut everything you said.
Just did. Yeah, no. I also have typed in here literally thank you next. Anyway, so next in historical order, the theory that this is possibly about Mary Tudor. I hate this bitch with a burning passion.
Honking.
I will honk these.
No, it's cool. I'm just like honking, honk.
Honkity honk.
Why did we not like Mary Tudor? What did she do to you?
So, I don't know if it's because of how awful of a human she was, or if it was just because I have a bias towards Queen Elizabeth I. Okay. Either way, I'm not a fan.
Interesting.
So, we're gonna jump into a fun little Yellow Pages version of Bloody Mary, which is all that. What?
Pause. I hope we get a ton of British fans, and I want them to like tear us apart for like our opinions on like British history and be like, how could you? And there'll be like flame wars for Mary Tudor or Mary, or like Queen Elizabeth or whatever, and we're just sitting here being like,
I mean, yeah, but like the English population literally is like, we're naming her Bloody Mary. Like, there's a reason. She's a bitch. But I also want to point out that I have a lot of books on the Tudors because they fascinate me, and one of my favorite ones is The Dark History of the Tudors. In the chapter talking about Mary Tudor, it literally is titled Mary, quite contrary. Oh. So they think that that's what this one's about. Irregardless,
that's not a word.
Yes, it is. Its first documentation was in 1785, or it was either 85 or 56. One of the two. There's documentation that it was first used.
It's a double negative.
It is in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. I don't give a shit.
You're taking a double negative.
Well, you're a double negative. You're built like a double negative.
I can be.
Dear God. Anyway. Mary Tudor was the first kid of King Henry VIII, who we all know is pretty slap happy with the head chopping. Yeah, the heads be rolling. But it was, so Henry married his brother's wife because his brother died, and that's how that works. And
not the first culture to do that kind of thing.
Exactly. Catherine of Aragon, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm correct. I'm playing Six the Musical in my head to make sure I get the names right. Catherine of Aragon, she was this Catholic idol we stan. She did not deserve what was coming to her. Henry was like, Anne Boleyn, she be a hottie. And
however, I think Catherine got the best end of the stick, to be honest, because literally she just like got like, okay, just step away, be quiet, don't get any, and like she's like, all right, I gotta go live my life and not be beholden to really anybody because I'm too powerful.
She almost got sent to a convent though, I believe. Who I think made it out best was Anna of Cleves. She got a castle and a bunch of money and was like, bye. Like she just got a huge prenup and was like, laters.
Yeah.
Like she didn't get any persecution, nothing, but like
just a thank you next.
Literally.
All right.
Literally. So, but that is who Mary's mother was, and as many people know, Henry VIII is basically like, we are going to change the entire religion of England so that I can divorce this bitch. So, that being said, I believe Mary was like her early teens by the time that they yayoed and remarried.
Okay.
I know there was something about her being 15. I did not write any of this down. I read it, said, I'll remember it. It's been 3 weeks. So don't trust me.
We're a podcast presenting you information
that is probably not accurate.
Vocal fry.
But proud of you. You remember that.
I remember that because of My Favorite Murder.
Oh.
Sorry.
I thought I taught you
that. No.
I taught Alexa that. Alexa took that and ran with it.
She
looks at Nathaniel. She goes, at least I know vocal fry. I'm like, get out of here with that. I miss them. So England has become Protestant now. Anne Boleyn is now in the picture, and then Elizabeth I is now in the picture. There's a younger brother who dies super young. And
Edward.
What?
Edward.
Yeah, him. Irrelevant. But,
technically, yes.
Yeah. And so Mary takes before Mary takes the throne, and this is important later, Lady Jane Grey takes the throne for about 9 days.
Oh, yeah.
So she's known as the 9 days. You hit the mic with that.
I'm sorry. I was moving something. It was getting bent. I laminated it. Sorry. There's me somebody who hates that sound.
Yeah, well, tragic. There's gonna be some people that hate us, so you know what?
That's true.
But so Lady Jane Grey is kind of known as, like, I think it's the 9-day queen. Mm-hmm. I get 9-day queen and 8-day bride mixed up. Anyway, 9-day queen, which actually she could have potentially been queen a little bit longer, depending on like when Edward died, because we don't actually know the exact date of Edward dying. Anyway,
still a short time.
Yeah, a very short time, because at this point people are like, that is not correct, because Lady Jane Grey is like a cousin of someone. Really weird. And everyone's like, you know who's supposed to be queen right now? Not you. It's supposed to be Mary. And so, like, the entirety of England is like, hey, fuck you. And they get her out of there real fast. Well, here's what's interesting is that Lady Jane Grey is actually executed. But Mary, who we know as Bloody Mary for
reasons we're about to go into.
Obvious reasons. She was not for Lady Jane Grey's head being chopped off. Oh. She was like, I don't think she deserves to be killed. It was because Lady Jane Grey was like 19. 17, 18, 19, one of the three.
Going back to young women marrying older men.
Lady Jane Grey was married to someone important. I don't remember who. But, Lady Jane Grey was like 17, 18, 19, one of the three, and Mary was like, she's just a wee lass. She's being manipulated. Anyway, Bloody Mary goes on to become queen. We're chilling, except she wants to put Catholicism back in place, and everyone's like, no. And she's like, yeah. And so the Protestants are like, hey! And she's like, no. And then eventually heads start rolling. Specifically Protestant heads start rolling. That's why she's known as Bloody Mary. And apparently she did a lot of torture stuff. Enjoy that. So, how does this bitch connect? Well, the theory goes that how does your garden grow may refer to her lack of heirs. This could also be a pun regarding Stephen Gardiner. I don't remember how Stephen Gardiner has anything to do with this. I researched it. It did not make sense in my brain. So there is also some theories that it references Catholicism yet again, since Mary was a Catholic leader, but that theory didn't make sense in my alphabet soup brain either, so I'm skipping it.
Quarto.
So, quite contrary is thought to be a reference to her failure to reverse the religious changes caused by King Henry Chop Your Head Off the 8th and Edward the 6th.
Say that again. I blank what?
So, quite contrary is thought to be a reference to her failure to reverse the religious changes caused by King Henry VIII and Edward the 6th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty Maids All in a Row could be referencing, and trigger warning, it could be referencing her multiple miscarriages. But I think the more probable theory is that it references her execution of Lady Grey, as well as a whole lot of Protestants. Because she did that. It's also said that bells and cockle shells represent torture devices often used by the Queen.
I've heard that. I've also heard that's bunk.
Yeah.
People like to spread that one around, but I don't
think it's true.
I think it's one of those elementary school recess schoolyard kind of things.
Yeah. But next up in our potential Marys is Mary Stewart, Queen of Scots. I have seen the show Reign approximately too many times, so I'm obsessed with her.
I love how you do that. I love you so much.
I love you more. And I know I said I was biased towards Queen Elizabeth I, but this show really makes you root for Mary, and I sure as shit do. So I don't know.
So remind me. So and again, history buffs are gonna hate me. Remind me. There's Bloody Mary. There's Queen Elizabeth, and there's Queen Mary Stuart.
Queen of Scots.
Queen of Scots. Whatever. I guess I shouldn't say whatever because I'm literally trying to figure it out. Elizabeth and which Mary are sisters?
So Bloody Mary and Elizabeth are sisters.
Okay. And
Mary, Queen of Scots, is a cousin.
Cousin. Okay.
Of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, biased towards Mary, but also biased towards Elizabeth. It's a conflict of interest. Causes inner turmoil. It has nothing to do with you guys. So, summary of Mary, Queen of Scots. Scottish Queen marries Francis of France. He dies at some point. Marries a couple other people. There's some issues that happen there because some people aren't loyal. Other people decide to beat her. There's this whole murder situation. She is Catholic. Mary is Catholic. And
which one?
Yes, both of them. Both the Marys are Catholic.
Okay.
Follow.
Okay.
But we're talking about Mary Stuart.
Okay.
Queen of Scots.
Queen of Scots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are the Catholic people. Elizabeth's Protestant. This is important. Just like her mother, Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth is Protestant, Mary is Catholic. At this point, Bloody Mary is dead. We don't need her anymore. So we are talking about Mary of Scots and Elizabeth I.
What do the Scots think of Mary, Queen of Scots?
So, I don't, modern day
Sure,
Scots?
I would like to know.
I don't know.
Because there's a
Do
lot.
I look Scot?
I just know that there's so much, because there's so much history and there's colonization within the British Isles. What is it? I threw out Limerick, Ireland being sold to a English noble and did not address the colonial flavor of that last week.
We did not record last week.
Last time. Regardless.
I don't even remember what we recorded last time.
Irregardless.
Yay! Yeah.
Because, I know that the Scots have also, there's been some unpleasant...
Sorry, God is a Woman started playing in my head, and everything was gone.
That's okay.
Can be other things you told me not to be. You trying to come at me, I got my flourishing baby. Company. See if I have whistle notes today. I do. My one, when all is said and done, you believe God is a woman. What?
Will we get copyrighted for you singing that?
No.
Okay.
I know copyright law. I know what I'm allowed to do.
The Scots.
Anyway.
I wonder what you guys think about Mary Queen of Scots. Because she tries
Ford.
to overthrow Elizabeth, right?
F1 Ford.
Oh my gosh. We're back.
Barely.
I don't know when she will have cut any of that.
If I cut any of that.
Dear Lord. So you're telling me the history about Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yeah.
And
so,
Elizabeth is Protestant.
Mary is Catholic. The Catholics in England and Scotland are like, you're the rightful Queen, Mary, but the Protestants in England and Scotland are like, Elizabeth is the rightful queen.
Because Mary is the daughter of Catherine.
Correct. No.
Catherine of Aragon.
That's Bloody Mary!
Because she's cousin.
Cousins!
So how do they believe that Mary, Queen of Scots, can be the queen?
I don't know!
Well, you did the research.
It doesn't specify that.
Okay.
Other than the fact that they are related, and England likes to get other people. Lady Jane Grey was related to him in some way, and they were like, yeah. And they're like, no.
Just power dynamic.
Yeah, and so it's like, I think it's also just because, like, Scotland is so close to England, and they're like, you know what we need to do? Like, we need a Catholic ruler. Let's just merge the two countries. And Protestants are like, no. So, like, the Protestants in Scotland are like, England's right here. She's a Protestant ruler. This, you know? Anyway, basically, there's a whole thing and the funny thing is if you, like, read letters between, like, Elizabeth and Mary, like, there's not really any hostility between the two of them. They're just kind of like, I'm minding my own business, you're minding your own business, but the people are like, hey, this isn't, like, what needs to be happening. Up until the end, these two are like, I just want my kingdom, you can have your kingdom, and we'll vibe. But then at the end, it starts getting, like, tension rises, and then Elizabeth chops off Mary's head.
It would be so fascinating to go, like, back in time, kind of fly on the wall situation and see what that was like. Because this is also not typical for majority of human history, it seems like, is a bunch of women being the, like, primary element of power.
Yeah.
And the proxy pawns for political gains for other people. Like, that just doesn't, like, I know more masculine, male-oriented history than I do female. And, like, this is this one period in England that, like, had a bunch of women as, like...
Yeah. I love
top
this
dog.
whole situation. I think it's fascinating to me. But anyway, it is said that How Does Your Garden Grow, back to the poem, is referring to her reign over her realm. Silver bells is once again referring to cathedral bells. Cockle shells could insinuate her cheating husband, that guy. And pretty maids all in a row refers to her ladies in waiting, which were, this is funny to me, they were all named Mary. So they were referred to as the Four Marys. Because it was her four ladies in waiting, but there's also Queen Mary. It's like Heather's. It's great. But I actually want to add to this theory because, and this is like, I didn't research, this is just what I know, and this is what I was putting into it. But I think How Does Your Garden Grow refers to the vast amount of support that she had throughout Europe as the heir to the English throne as opposed to Elizabeth, since she was Catholic. Cathedral bells could also insinuate this as well, silver bells could insinuate cathedral bells as well as the marriages to the Catholic men that put her in powerful political positions, specifically in France. Because she had a huge hand in France political stuff, just because of the amount of respect Francis did have for her. But some also say that the cockle shells and silver bells refer to the pretty fancy things from her marriage to Francis, because he did shower her in gifts, because he's a good man. But this leaves us in a weird mental bind, at least for me specifically, though, because we're yeeting the whole thing that this is about Mary, the mother of Jesus, it just seems like grasping at straws by white Christians. Okay, thanks. But there doesn't seem to be enough happening with the silver bells and cockle shells to make Mary Stewart make sense, in my opinion. Plus the idea of it being torture devices tickles me, and it scratches an itch in that macabre part of my brain. So I like it. But in all honesty, it could be a bit of both. The actions of Mary Tudor directly affected the life and reign of Mary Stuart, so I got fancy. And I wrote my own version of Mary, Mary, Kite Contrary. She's very excited for this. I told her about this like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So I wrote this at 3 a.m. Bloody Mary, quite contrary, and how her reign does show. With religious rebels, she did revel in watching the Protestant heads roll. But Scottish Mary, quite contrary, had a different way to go. Fear of guillotine from a rivaling queen, she was the Catholic queen Elizabeth feared would overthrow.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Thank you.
It's really good.
So what do you think? Which Mary do you think it is?
If I have to pick a Mary, I think Bloody Mary fits a little bit more because as much as I want to disregard like the torch devices of silver bells and cockle shells and stuff, and then like the concept of how did your garden grow and Pretty Little Maids all in a row all being like references to her kind of mild reign of terror. I can't mild question mark.
A lot of people died.
Yeah, forced religious assumptions.
And mind you, it wasn't like a thing within England that caused this. It wasn't like, I mean, like the Catholics obviously wanted everyone to be, it was Mary. Mary was like, this whole Protestant situation is what got my mom yayoed out of here. And Mary was like, this needs to be a Catholic country. And she went out and she persecuted them. Not like she didn't get out on her horse and do it herself, but like, you know, she sent people out to do it. It was Mary's decision.
Right.
So, but there was also a lot happening up in that noggin, from what I understand. A lot of like undiagnosed, probably a lot of trauma too. Can you imagine growing up in that household?
No.
It's like, he has a good number of kids, doesn't he? No, he had three. He had
that was part of his problem.
Oh yeah, you're right. The only son he had was Edward. That was with Jane Seymour. Mary, who was Aragon, and only his first 3 wives gave him children. And
he changed the whole, I mean, regardless of what you think of like the Catholic versus Protestant placement in Christianity and that split and stuff, whether you support the Protestant Reformation or not, like King Henry VIII literally took the whole country and was like, this dick, though. Like,
yeah, it was all about catching that pussy dough.
Right, and so he...
Which, like, good for him.
No, he murdered people.
That's not what I'm saying. I mean, like...
he literally, like, sent his wives to the guillotine twice.
You're right.
I mean...
Not good for him.
Not good for him. And, like, again, it seems like the country had a lot of support to move with the Protestant Reformation. Again, whatever your thoughts are on Catholic versus Protestant, like, in the country there seemed to be a lot of support from the people. Mm-hmm. They willingly were like, yeah, let's go Protestant.
Here's, it's dangerous putting me in a position to talk about King Henry VIII, because I could talk for a very long time. I'm also going to shut this. Because I've watched documentaries upon documentary upon documentary about, this is my favorite piece of history, is King Henry, specifically Anne Boleyn and Elizabeth, and I just, it fascinates me. I don't know why. It's one of those things that I can't stop watching things about it and reading about it.
I just gotta say, I love her necklace. The
I know,
iconic
right?
pearl bee and the drop pearls. Like, I just, it's one of the, for me, like, I'm gonna lighten this up for a moment and just say, like, it's part of why I love humanity. Is like, there's just things that we've not stopped doing regardless of the age and era we're in. So, like, people having their initials on a necklace, like, yeah. Hundreds of years ago, women were doing that. So I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I love Anne Boleyn. And what's interesting about King Henry VIII is he actually was known to be this very kind, charming, genuine man up until he was married to Anne Boleyn. Now, mind you, his marriage to Catherine of Aragon was something that was required.
It was a political marriage.
And she didn't want to marry him all that much, and he didn't want to marry her all that much. It just kind of happened, and they were like, fine. So they married each other. And then he met Anne Boleyn. He charmed the hell out of Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was like, yeah. They liked each other. And at first she was a mistress, and then it became more than that. And at this time, he is like this halfway decent guy. And he's just like, Bomsky, he does this. And then what happens is he was actually very active. He loved jousting and sword fighting. He loved sports. And he actually got knocked off his horse while jousting. Got gout in his...
Oh, gout.
I think it was gout in his leg, which is why he became, like, fat, was because he could not move around all that well. And he got a head injury. Mm-hmm. And this is actually a very... historians really love talking about this head injury. because it was in his frontal lobe, which is the personality part of your brain.
And your impulse decisions.
And right after this injury is when his behavior shifted dramatically. He became paranoid. He was very impulsively angry, intense mood shifts, and that's whenever he started accusing Anne of things, and that's whenever all of that happened, and that's whenever he started like being very erratic. Was because of this head. They think it's because of this head injury, and historians have read what like Anne has said. They have like tracked her behavior, and they're like, they don't think Anne actually cheated on him at all. It was a paranoia situation on Henry's part, and they think that his personality changed because of his head injury.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So he was actually known to be a very charming dude at the beginning of his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Do I want to get into political marriages and open marriages now? No. Yes, but no. But yes. But no.
Keep my wife's name out your honkin' mouth.
So,
Mary.
I think we went all the way around, but I think we made it was just like Anne Boleyn, people, humanity. King Henry VIII was a fascinating guy who had a head injury that might have affected his behavior.
Yeah. So who do you think Mary is?
You asked me that, and I answered with Bloody Mary.
Yes, Bloody Mary.
And I'm going to throw it back to you.
As I said, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think it very easily could be a little bit of both. Sorry, I just saw something that brought me joy, so I'm smiling. It was a butterfly. It's gone now. But I think it could easily be both. I mean, Bloody Mary's reign very directly affected Mary Queen of Scots' reign as well as Elizabeth's reign. So I think that the probability of it being Mary Stewart, Mary Tudor, and Mary Mother of Jesus, all of that's possible because those two women's reign is very religiously driven. I think it could be anything. I don't know. I like the idea of playing with it. I like playing with what each thing could mean in like respect to each ruler, especially since this is a time period that I am so heavily invested in. So either way, I love it. I think it's super fun, and hearing it, I would like originally knowing Mary Quite Contrary, I would have never guessed it was something that I was such a deep
you already had such a personal
passion and interest in. Yeah. So this
cool.
is super fun.
Yeah, I think one thing with that, our podcast, we're still figuring this out. We're still, we're newbies to this whole thing.
Still getting a flow.
And I think we're kind of going into this current flow where with these more English-oriented nursery rhymes of finding fun history stories behind them, whether they're super accurate to the nursery rhyme or not. I think we're enjoying a time in our podcast where we're reading some nursery rhymes that are classic and teaching you some cool history behind it, whether it's super connected or not. You can join us for that. If you are interested in something else regarding nursery rhymes or stories, we're more than happy to go in that direction. But I think for now, while we're tracking classic stuff, we're going to enjoy some English history.
Yeah, and we're going to, continue to have fun with it and do what we like doing, which is hanging out with each other, reading fairy tales, reading history, and causing general chaos for the population.
Yeah. That's Elizabeth.
That's Sarah, and this was Mother Goose Lied. You have been goosed. Bye.
Bye.